Ah, the first text in online dating, where dreams are made or broken, where that hot girl that matched with you is either going to never text you again or suddenly be propelled dramatically forward towards going on a date with you. Yes, it really is that important. And in this video, I'm going to teach you exactly how to write good first messages that are going to get you tons more dates. Most guys royally screw up their first messages in online dating, and that's because it's a very easy thing to screw up. And in fact, maybe I should do a video about that at some point, but this is not that video. In this video, I'm going to show you a very simple method to always come up with pretty damn good first messages that are going to work incredibly well on a consistent basis. And beyond that, I'm going to show you my own first messages following this format. So let's look at that right now. So very quickly, before I get into the specific messaging examples, I want to give you an overview of my general messaging strategy. When I first match with a girl and I want to message her, the first thing I do is I scroll through her profile and I'm looking for anything unusual that I can comment on and especially tease on. If I can find that, that's what I'll use. If not, I'll use something stock, i.e. something I've written before. And this may be a pure copy and paste, but more often it's something that is related to the type of girl she is or related to the category of girl that I've seen work before. So I may have one type of message for sporty athletic girls and another one for girls who seem like a kind of outgoing socialites who go out to clubs often. I may have another one for girls who seem like they're first generation immigrants from South America, right? It can get very specific, but you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. Once you have a particular message that works with that demographic, you can keep sending it to that demographic. Two final quick tips. Generally, shorter is better. If you can say what you're saying in fewer words, it's better than saying it in many words. And also generally when you're going to comment on something, it's better to comment on a prompt than it is to comment on a photo because it seems more genuine and less superficial. As a general rule, there are exceptions, but in general, prompts are better to comment on than photos. So now let's look at a few messages I sent that led to successful interactions. So in this first case, I'm commenting on her prompt, and her prompt says, "Fact about me that surprises people, that I've always had my own businesses." Now from this, I can tell a little bit about her blueprint. I can probably tell she's entrepreneurial, ambitious, probably fairly successful, that kind of stuff. She didn't say business, she said businesses, etc., right? So she probably wants an ambitious guy as well. So I'm going to convey that. Also, I happen to be an entrepreneur myself, so I have that similarity. What I don't want to do though is act like I'm like, oh my God, I'm so much like you, we have such a connection. I want to be a little irreverent, I want to be a little bit cocky, a little bit funny in my response. So what I messaged was this. Same, I also have never had a boss and am bad at taking orders, winky face. So I couch me being successful in business and running my own business. I say we're relatable in that way, but I'm actually saying the negative parts. I've never had a boss and I'm bad at taking orders, i.e. I'm a little bit unruly, a little bit undisciplined, which also it sounds like a negative in terms of dating me, as in like I'm not a well-behaved boyfriend, but actually girls in terms of attraction don't want a well-behaved boyfriend. So I'm framing a thing that's actually attractive about me as a negative to try and be sort of like fake humble about it. So she responds, "Hi, the name I was using on this profile, aw nice. Although not good at taking orders, we have two bosses here." She has some emojis. And then, "I like your profile too. What business do you do? X." So clearly a very positive response that gets things off to the right start. And if you scroll down in the conversation, you see it ended with, "Saturday sounds good. What's your number?" or WhatsApp. That might be an easy way to figure out details. And she says, "Hey, okay, fab," and sends her number. So things are going very, very nicely. For the next two examples I'm going to show, I want to introduce another little cheat code for online dating, which is this. Not only does the girl have prompts, but you have prompts also, and you know what your prompts are. That means that when the girl messages you first, you're going to get certain responses over and over again, or you're going to get certain prompts liked. In fact, a lot of times the girls don't even write messages to you, they just like a particular prompt, which means that every single girl who's liking that prompt is sending you essentially the same message over and over and over again. Therefore, once you've responded to it once, you can copy and paste that same message over and over again. So for each prompt, you should be prepared with a good message for when they like that prompt. Now, at first, when you create a profile, you may not have that yet, but once you've seen that a couple times and you've written something that worked a few times, you now know it works. You can copy and paste and repeat that same basic answer to each and every girl, and it makes things very, very easy. So the prompt she liked in this case was, "You should not go out with me if you're looking for a nice, safe accountant your parents would approve of." So when she likes this prompt, she's not only saying something about me, she's saying something about herself. She chose to like a guy who's not safe and not boring. So from this, I can imply she's maybe those same traits. And this leads the conversation in a lot of good ways. I can compliment her on that, I can qualify her on that, and I can lead the conversation towards one where we're about being fun, adventurous, and taking risks. And you know one very fun risk? Going on a date with a stranger. So it's a great direction to push the conversation. So with all that in mind, my response was, If I can take that as an indicator that you're also not boring, then I think there's a decent chance we might get along, fingers crossed. As you can see, she hearted that, and then she responded, I want to hear more about the cash pic, which is another picture of my profile, so she continued the conversation. And so then if we zoom to the bottom of the conversation, I say, definitely so, her name, what's your view on drinks and witty banter between attractive new friends? She says, always into that. I say, sounds good. My number is this, what's yours? And she sends her number. So again, we have the number, we have tentative plans, things are moving in a really positive direction. For the next example, again, we have a girl who's liked one of my prompts. And again, when girls like this prompt, they get a similar response because they're indicating something about themselves. In this case, the prompt she liked was, something that's non-negotiable for me is integrity. I can't be true to someone who isn't true to her own values. So if she likes that, she's saying maybe she's someone with a little more depth, someone with a little more integrity herself, someone who wants a little more connection, so I can be a little bit more genuine. But I still want to keep it light. I still want to keep it fun and funny. So here's what I wrote. Thanks, her name. You don't seem so bad yourself. And by the way, this is a great thing when a girl gives you a compliment or even likes one of your prompts. Thanks, you're not so bad yourself. Great way to start one of these. I say, if you have character and also are a bit of a character, I think we might just get along, fingers crossed. Love the fingers crossed emoji. And also, as a quick note, this having character and being a character thing, that's not even originally me. I stole that from a TV show or a movie that I watched years and years and years ago. And it's fine to take lines from other people. Anyway, there's a great stock line. And in response to this message, she liked it. She goes, ooh, ha la la, which is like, I guess, a laughing sound. All in one. Let's hopefully I am not too much of both. All right, so that's a good response. And then if we zoom forward to the end of the conversation, and if we zoom down to the end of the conversation, we can see I say, I'm in city this weekend, back in other city soon. Perhaps we should meet for a drink and some witty banter when I return. She goes, that's lovely. Enjoy that city. Bring some nonchalance from there. Yes, let's do it. I say, sounds good. My number is what's yours. And she responds with her number. So again, we have the idea of plans. We have a number. Things are moving very well. For the fourth and final example, I want to show you the difference between a good message and a great message. Because again, this girl liked one of my prompts, and it's the same one a different girl that I've already broken down the text from in this video also liked. However, in this case, there was also something unique in the girl's profile that was even better. So instead of using my stock response, I used a better one. Here's what we have. So she liked, you should not go out with me if you're looking for a nice, safe account your parents would approve of. And she actually added to the like, safe is boring, which is an even bigger compliment. So I could have definitely responded to this. However, in her profile, she had a picture where there was a fire and she had a gas can, and it literally looked like, you know, if you try and misinterpret it, it looked like she was maybe pouring gas on the fire. So I thought that's much more interesting. So can I use that? And I actually used that and related it to the prompt answer. So my first message was, says the girl pictured pouring gasoline on a fire, winky face. She really liked this message. She responded back, touche, wasn't really pouring it. It was just perfect camera timing. What makes you not nice and safe? Which is great. By the way, a girl asking what makes you not nice and safe, she's basically saying like, tell me the attractive things about you. I've given you full permission to brag and it won't be try hard, which is fucking awesome. If we zoom to the end of this conversation, we have a situation where I didn't even actually ask for her number and she just offers it up unsolicited. So I said, no, I find you surprisingly charming and eccentric so far. I thought you were implying you were awkward and apologizing for your cheesy joke, LOL. She goes, surprisingly, what were you anticipating? She sends her number and says, number, if you text more often than you Hinge, because I hadn't been super consistent with getting into her messages quickly. So she just offered up her number and said, let's continue this forward without me even having to ask. So obviously, again, a very good result. So obviously all these messages worked, but they're four very different messages. And at the start, again, I did give you my overall strategy, my step-by-step for coming up with them. But what do these messages all have in common in terms of the content? Well, number one, they're all light. They're not super serious. They're not super romantic. They're also very short. So they're light, short, maybe a little bit funny, like maybe witty, sarcastic funny, not like hilarious funny, but they're witty, sarcastic. That's number one. Number two, they are all relevant to man to woman. They are all about, are you and I going to like each other? They acknowledge sort of tacitly that we're on a dating site, we're trying to meet. They're not beating around the bush. They're not small talk. They're not, hey, how was your day? That kind of a thing. Thirdly, they are all about either the girl's profile, i.e. something she put out there, or about her choice of my prompt. So they are all not just relevant to a man-to-woman context, but they are personal to the girl. They are not general. Even if they are copy and paste, they're copy and paste about something the girl personally did. So every time the girl thinks this is actually about me, this is personal to me. And finally, in all four cases, they convey me in a positive frame. They convey me as the prize. They convey me as the person being complimented, me as the person being the selector and deciding whether I like her. These are common threads in all of these messages that you should have in your messages as well. So I hope you enjoyed those messages and the lessons from them. By the way, I do want to mention, if you enjoyed that and you want to see the full text conversations, I did just add all these full texts with breakdowns of why I sent each individual text inside my course, Online Dating Academy, so you can check it out there as well. With that said, take these lessons, use them, get better results, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.